You're listening to Live Wild Radio, the part-time adventure podcast.
Join us as we explore how outdoor adventures build mind, body, and spirit.
Welcome back to Live Wild Radio, the fitness and adventure podcast. It's Winston, the coach, and today I want to talk about how to get the most fitness gains with the least amount of time spent training. Because one of the common things I run into with clients or with you fine listeners who send me in questions is, I do want to get in better shape. I want to build some muscle. I want to be, fitter, have more energy, look better, all those different things, improve my health markers. But I've got, a full-time job, and I got a family, and I got to cart the kids around, and it's a whole modern life, we'll call it. So how can I get the most, spending the least amount of time training? Now, the reality comes in is that your optimal versus acceptable aren't going to be the same thing. So there's sort of optimal training where you're making close to your best gains in each of the categories, versus minimal training where you're making progress in everything, but it's going to take you longer to get there, if you want to call it, because each session doesn't take you quite as far. There might be some areas that you certain things you neglect due to time, but one of the simplest, I would say, is just three, bare minimum would be 3 20-minute sessions a week. And what I would always have people do is some type of density training with compound movements. Now, compound movements are any movements that use multiple joints and multiple muscle groups. So if you were to do, like, say, a clean and press, whether it's a kettlebell, barbell, what have you, where you get the bar or the weight up to your shoulder and then press it overhead, you're using, hamstrings, butt and lower back, and your grip, and some shoulders and upper back to get the weight up to your shoulders. And then you're using your upper chest, deltoids, which is shoulder muscles, and triceps to press it overhead. So you're getting a lot of stuff hit in one movement. Same thing with any kind of deadlift. Same thing with any kind of squat is using a lot of, you could do like a front squat into a press, right? In the CrossFit world, they call these thrusters. Now, of course, the weight that would be super taxing to your legs, it would be generally more than what you can press overhead. So there's always a bit of a compromise there. Again, it's minimal versus optimal. But one of the most common that I'll have people do, because again, if you're limited time, one of the most effective things is to work out at home, because then you don't have to go anywhere. Right. And that's where, if you've listened to episodes or read any of my stuff, like basically a pair of adjustable kettlebells and a pull-up bar, and then some bands to reduce the load on the bar, and then a set of gymnastics rings or a TRX is sort of the perfect home gym, because, these types of workouts I'm talking about, you can build really good full body workouts. And because you're trying to get as much in the time that you're working out as possible, you're going to be hitting the muscles. So you get stronger, you'll build some muscle mass. but you'll also run into the benefit of cardiovascular conditioning. So you're kind of hitting two birds with one stone. You're not doing either the most optimal way, but because you're hitting both, you'll be improving both of these at the same time, right? So you'll feel more energetic and you're able to do more stuff without getting tired, and you're stronger, all with like 3 20 to 30 minute workouts a week. So that can be really, really powerful. And like I said, one of the most common ones I'll program for people is the double kettlebell clean and press, and the double kettlebell front squat on one day, and then another day. Essentially, we'd have two workouts, an A and a B, and you just rotate them. So week 1, Monday would be workout A. Workout B would be on Wednesday. Workout A would be again on Friday, and then it would be BAB the following week, and you just rotate it. So workout 1 has double kettlebell clean and press and double kettlebell front squat. Pretty straightforward and simple. And then the other day, I would have a pull-up, a push-up, and basically kettlebell snatches. So you do the way workout 1 would be, you'd set a timer, and you would do a set of clean and press, and then put the weights down, shake it off a bit, clean the weights back up to your shoulder, do a set of front squats, put it down, and repeat in the 20 minutes or half an hour that you've set the timer for. Try to get as much in as you can without getting gassed. We always use like a heart rate, as you know, when your heart rate's down to 125, you go again, like with the chest strap on or the heart rate monitor on. But you can also use the talk test. Like, don't go again until you can talk without gasping. Because obviously you can run yourself into the ground, but that's sort of not what the goal of this is. It's like progressing the amount you can do in the time period as you get fitter, rather than just, try to bury yourself. Because the whole goal is next time you come into it, get like an extra rep or an extra round or an extra set. Just gradually increase the volume or the density within that time over time, right? So if it just means, each set, if you rest 5 seconds less, that might mean an extra set at the end. And then, it adds up. And one of the big things you'll run into with this is that because you're like the clean and press and double kettlebell front squat work everything in the body, to one degree or another. Because like the clean works the posterior chain, hamstrings, butt, and lower back. But because you're doing it with weight in your hands and you have to get it up to the rack position on your shoulder, there's a bunch of upper back engagement, bicep engagement, grip, because you have to hold the weight. And then the pressing portion, obviously triceps, shoulders, some upper chest muscles, and then the core and everything has to be engaged, for you to press the weights overhead. And the same thing, double kettlebell front squat, great squatting exercise, really works the quads and glutes. But you get a lot of core work because you have to brace because the weight is loaded on the front and it's not just sitting on your shoulders like it would be with a barbell squat. So really, effective right there. And then your basically pull up, push up, and kettlebell snatch, or you can even do a double kettlebell swing, like two swings with 2 kettlebells, just so that you can go heavier. And again, it's the same thing. Do a set of 1, do a set of the other, do a set of the third, and then repeat And, you know, with the snatch, you're getting, you know, basically hamstrings and butt and lower back, but you're also getting some upper back, shoulder stabilization. You've got to move that weight over a longer area or like a further distance than you do because you finish the snatch in the top locked out position. So it's like doing a clean and press, but you're, you know, skipping the press part. You're going right from the, you know, the backswing to overhead in technically 3 movements, but it's so fast it looks like 1 until you know what you're doing. But that combination, you know, you'll get your heart rate up, you know, doing push-ups properly, engage the core quite a bit, pull-ups, grip, upper back muscles, you know, and if you're not strong enough to do pull-ups by themselves, then you put a band around your pull-up bar and then step in the band. With your feet, you pull it down and step in, and it takes a certain amount of your body weight off, so you're actually able to do the pull-ups. And as you get stronger, you go lighter and lighter, basically bands, until eventually you're not using a band. And it can be something as simple as, like, let's say you can only do like 2 pull-ups. Well, then every time you come around to do pull-ups in the beginning, you just do 1 rep. But if you get like 10 rounds in this workout, you'll end up with 10 reps, which doesn't seem like a lot, but if you can only do 2 reps, doing 10 reps with your 2 rep max is a pretty good strength stimulus. And one of the things we run into too is that snatches have a weird kind of what the hell effect, because they also improve pull-ups even though they're not pull-ups. There's just something in the snap and catch and everything involved. So that basically little pair right there would be, you know, an hour and a half of work a week, and it will improve strength. You know, gradually as you get stronger, you go up in weight. Like with any of these, what I would do is increase the density. And then whatever number of reps you've started off with, like let's say you've started off with like 3 clean and press, 5 double kettlebell front squats. Well, after a few weeks, go to 4 clean and press and 6 double kettlebell front squats, and gradually increase the reps, you know, as you're also increasing the density, you know, but the reps per set, and then give it like a week or 2, and at that number of reps, and then increase it by 1 again, and then 1 again. And you'll find that when you go from doing sets of 3 and 5, you know, up to sets of 8 and 10, you've gotten a lot stronger. But there's also like a lot more, you know, metabolic cost to it. There's more huffing and puffing. There's more muscle burn. And then when you get to that point, up the weight, cut the reps down again, and just start building again. And it's sort of a cycle you can do for like easily that setup you could do for a year, you know, just gradually increasing the number of reps per set, and then increasing the amount of weight and cutting the reps, and then building again. And then when you get to the point where your kettlebells are, you know, both kettlebells are fully loaded up to the 32 kilograms that they come with, you know, you run into the thing of you're strong as shit, you know, with it sort of just creeping up on you. Same thing, like, you know, if you can do, let's say right now you could do 1 pull-up. Well, in a year, you're going to be doing 15 per set, right? You'd be able to do multiple sets of 15 in a year. Well, if you can do multiple sets of 15 reps in a pull-up, you're pretty fucking strong. And there's no way around it. All of the work that got you there is going to have built your biceps and your forearms and your shoulders, your rear delts, and your upper back muscles and your lats. You know, you're going to look pretty good in a t-shirt. Same thing with push-ups. You know, when you're able to do, you know, tons of really good quality push-ups, You know, you're going to have some delts and pecs, and your core bracing is going to be pretty good, right? And this is where if you don't increase the amount of time you train, then you basically, in a sense, it's limiting yourself on purpose. But because you've limited your, options, in a sense, because you can't go longer, because if time is the limiter, then what you have to do is do more within that same amount of time. More sets, more reps, more weight. And you keep at that, and you'd be amazed how far you can go before you've got to start adding more. And I've had a number of clients sort of on that path, who over the course of 6 months to a year, all of their little niggles and aches and pains, this is the bum knee and the sore shoulder and these things all went away, just because they got stronger and moved better. But then when you add in that they're leaner, they've added muscle, all of their health markers, like their blood sugar levels and their triglycerides, HDL and LDL have all improved. Their basically blood pressure, any of these health markers that we look at and go, oh, you really should get this under control or you're going to have to go on medication. Anybody who just sort of gets on, a program and follows it consistently, like if you did those 3 times a week and just try to move more, like more walking, more, anytime you can get more movement in, you'd be amazed what changes that'll make to you, And then it's one of those things where as you're in better shape, all of a sudden you sort of have this motivation to like start making some of your recreation time, what time you do have, isn't sitting around, it's doing stuff, because you feel more kind of badass about it. So it's always those kinds of things, like and other this is just sort of one idea, right? One simple way, just using escalating density with compound movements to gradually get both fitter, better endurance, better conditioning, stronger and bigger muscles, and burning a lot of calories, highly effective there. But then other things you can do when you're limited on time, even if you go to, say, a commercial gym, if you're short on time, stick to mostly machines because they don't have a whole lot of setup, right? Like that's sort of one of the things that there's a few barbell exercises Catherine and I do. Like I'm a big fan of overhead barbell pressing. We do some deadlift variation, whether it's a trap bar deadlift, conventional deadlift, Romanian deadlift. But some squatting, like with her knee, she doesn't do well with a barbell squat. But I will get that in occasionally myself. But then the rest of it, like, was machines. And that it's super convenient. Like the quality of the machines at a lot of the gyms, whether it's plate loaded where you put the weight plates on, or it's got the pin selector, those are great. And obviously it's going to be the thing of like find the ones that work for you. Like the Crunch gym we go to, there's one plate loaded dip machine that's awesome, and then the other one sucks. It just doesn't feel good. There's a bunch of different like bench press machines. Some of them feel great. Others don't line up well for me. Same thing with shoulder press machines. When it comes to upper back, like if you've got like a pull down variation, or a pull up and a, some sort of row, whether it's a cable row, a machine row, if you're basically sticking to things that you don't have to load up, right? You don't have to get a barbell and all the different size plates and all that kind of thing where you got to change each side. It's just pull the pin and put it in a different weight. You'll be quicker, right? And anytime you can superset, and this could be, superset biceps and triceps, superset bicep curls and lateral raises. Sometimes when I go in the gym at lunch, it's pretty quiet. So I'll superset, like a push and pull. So like a machine bench press, and right next to it is a machine row. And I'll just go back and forth with minimal rest between, because I can rest my pecs and my triceps while I do the row, and vice versa, rather than, sit 2 or 3 minutes to fully rest before your next set on the same machine, going back and forth, if you're not taking them away from anybody, if it's quieter time. And this is one of the great things about working out at home, you set up your little stations, because if you were to do a pull-up, and you could superset that with push-ups, right? Push-ups don't tire you out for pull-ups and vice versa. If you were to do a goblet squat and then an overhead press, right? Different muscles. Some sort of curl and then some sort of tricep extension. Or calf raises and abs. Any of these can kind of go together well because one doesn't take away from the other, but you can effectively just go like with no rest back and forth between them. And it's not a big deal, right? Because you're especially if it's any smaller muscles. If I'm training my biceps, I'm not getting out of breath. I don't have to, catch my breath after a set of biceps. So I could immediately do some tricep work, or I could immediately do some shoulders, and it can be boom, 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 and you've knocked off, 3 sets of each in 5 minutes, just going back and forth, right? Others, like, again, another way to get really good work in if you don't have a lot of time is myo reps, like we talked about in an earlier episode. So do a set, right? And this works well with machines as well. Do a good hard set, so you're coming close to failure. And then let's say you get 10 reps in. And so if you do a set of 10 and basically you couldn't do another one, the last 5 reps of that set were where the real work were. And so they're called effective reps. And that's what will get you most of your strength and muscle building effect, because they're closer to failure. Well, then if you rest 15 or 20 seconds and do 2 or 3 more reps, and then rest 15 or 20 seconds and then 2 or 3 more reps, and you do that like 3 to 5 times, every time, every little set, micro mini set you do after that first set, every one of those, all those are effective reps because you're already fatigued. So instead of just having 5 effective reps in your set of 10, you might end up with, 10, 12, 15 effective reps in that one set. Well, you do 2 sets like that, and it's had the same number of effective reps that 4 to 6 sets would have, right, in 2 sets. So again, if you're limited for time, this is a really, really effective way to stimulate the maximum amount of strength and muscle building in the least amount of time. The only downfall to it is it's hard. It's physical effort, but if you're doing on machines, there's no big setup. It's easy. Put her down, shake it out, go again. Put her down, shake it out for basically your 15 to 20 seconds, go again. And you take and do that like twice, per body part, like 2 sets like that. That's all you need. It really is effective. So that's another way that can, be super, super efficient as far as your time goes. Another thing that's really great are something called complexes. We do these with kettlebells a lot. And what a complex will be is a series of exercises you do, like sets back to back before you put the weight down. So to give you an idea, one of my favorite complexes is I'll do 5 double kettlebell cleans. That's basically getting it from the ground up to your shoulder height. You do 5 that way. Then you do 5 presses. Then you do 5 front squats. Then you do like 5 more cleans and 5 more presses, right? So you just did 25 reps total. Or if your shoulders are fatigued, the second set of presses becomes push presses, so you get your legs into it. You'll huff and puff like a steam engine. Your muscles will burn. It just does things to your body. It's very hard, but one of the things you run into is the less time you have to train, then the harder you can go without, if you trained balls to the wall hard all the time for hours a week, you'd burn out. But if you don't have a lot of time to train, if you just go in and like give her hell, for a very short period of time, then you get on with your day. And you can make some really, really effective progress, both from cardiovascular fitness standpoint and a strength and muscle building standpoint. That's one of the things that's super cool with complexes. I will bang out, say with a kettlebell complex, I'll just do like 3 rounds. Well, that whole thing, because 1 round of 25 reps takes about 90 seconds, and then 3-minute rest, and you do it 3 times. So the whole workout's maybe 10 minutes long, but you've gotten 75 pretty hard reps in there. You've really cranked up your cardiorespiratory system. And you'd be amazed, over time, then you might want to add an extra round. So it's, starts with like 3 rounds and then 4, maybe get up to 5 rounds. But even then, it's less than 20 minutes total for 5 rounds. And that will do some shit to you from a fitness standpoint. If you're coming off the couch, you do not start there, okay? But for somebody who's been training for a while, and with complexes, you can do them with dumbbells. You could do them with barbell, just an empty barbell, an empty 45-pound barbell, basically clean it up to your shoulders, press it 5 times, then hold it there, front squat it 5 times, then get it back down to your hips and do like 5 Romanian deadlifts and then 5 barbell rows. And you work through that cycle before you put it down. And maybe you do 5 or 6 exercises, then you put it down. Think of it as like cardio for meatheads, because it's going to get your heart rate up, but it also gets you pumped. And so that's where, when you're limited for time, doing something that will give you more than one effect out of it. You're not just going to build your muscle. You're not going to just improve your cardiovascular system. This type of training will do a little bit of everything, and you get a little bit better at everything for a long period of time, and you'll end up pretty good overall until it's time to specialize. It's not what we would do to train for a marathon, or a powerlifting meet. These are kind of 2 extremes. But most people I talk to who are training, they just want to feel better, look better, be healthier, right? So that's where a lot of this kind of like middle of the road training that isn't going to get you the best at anything, but you're pretty good at everything. As I'm fond of saying, I want to be the best cyclist among the rock climbers, and the strongest deadlifter among the mountain bikers. So, I'm not the best at any one thing, but in each thing, I will be better at the non-correct thing, if that makes any sense. Like the non-specialized part of it, I'm usually better, is what my goal is. So to have a stronger deadlift than the endurance athlete, to have more endurance than the strength athlete. And that way, it just means you're pretty good all around. And that's really what life will benefit you, or benefit you in life. So those are just a few of the ideas you can do to streamline. And then one of the other things is when we're down to cardio, if you're short on time, go hard. Obviously, if you got an hour or 2 hours, you can do some long zone 2 cardio. If you're not an endurance athlete, most people don't want to do it. There's health benefits to it, but most people don't want to put the time in. But like if you only got 20 minutes out on a bike ride, first 5 minutes is a warm up, just get going and then pick it up. Make that, last 15 minutes suffer. Make it hard. Feel like you're being chased. Turn it into a time trial or do a bunch of sprints. If there's a hill around you, in your neighborhood, go up and do hill repeats on it, like sprint. Just walk out with your sneakers and walk to the bottom, run up it at about half speed. Not a full sprint, but just about half, then walk down. Do one about 3/4 speed, walk back down. And with each of these, like let yourself catch your breath in between, like 2 or 3 minutes in between each one. And if you get like 4 or 5, like all out uphill sprints, once you're warmed up like that, you'll get some cardiovascular benefits out of it, even though it's not, an hour cardio. But if you do that consistently, studies have shown that real all-out high-intensity work of like anywhere from like 15 to 20-second sprints, it's going to burn. You're going to huff and puff like a steam engine, but then you just walk around and recover. That will give you a lot of health benefit without a lot of time commitment. The only commitment that you do need to it is A, the discipline to be consistent, and B, in the moment, the willingness to suffer, because it is hard. Long, steady cardio for a lot of people is boring, but it's not painful. Sprints, complexes, myo reps, a lot of the techniques that allow you to be really efficient with your time, the cost of them is discomfort. It'll burn more, it hurts a little more. It's temporary, it goes away, and you're not injuring yourself, but huffing and puffing and your muscles burning isn't basically kind of relaxing, pleasant, if that, it's like, oh, that's what I'm looking forward to on vacation. There's some of us that are sickos that enjoy it, but it's more of a I always look at those of us that enjoy kind of the pain of training. That gets into the mental aspect of training, and it's basically my low-cost antidepressants. The suffering hard part of it actually mentally is good for me. So, I'm not crazy. I'm just, managing my mental health in a sustainable way. So anyway, those are some ideas that can make your time, in the gym, out of the gym, from a training standpoint, make it more efficient so you can, because one of the things I hear from so many people is I don't have the time. And then in their head, if they don't have an hour to devote to it, then there's no point. Like I've had great workouts where, I had one just the other day where it was like I was limited for time. I did like a 5-minute little warm up, some bands and some push-ups and some bodyweight squats just as a warm up. And then I just did kettlebell snatches, like 5 kettlebell snatches per hand per minute for 10 minutes. I ended up with like 50 per side in 10 minutes. I huffed and puffed, developed some firing of those explosive fibers in the hamstrings, butt, and lower back. And, I put like a 63-pound kettlebell over my head 100 times in, 10 minutes. Nothing super crazy or fancy, but it was a good workout. I was super sweaty. Heart rate was up. used a lot of muscles, used just about every muscle in the body to do it, and then boom, get on with my day. So generally, you know, when I do that type of workout, I'll usually go 20 minutes, but this time I was limited. So I went a little heavier than I usually do. I usually do it with a 24 kilogram or 52 pound. This time I went 63, the 28 kilo, and just gave her shit for 10 minutes and on my way. So, you know, you can get a lot in, and, you know, and then those times, whether it's on the weekend or, you know, times that you do have a little bit more, then get a little more in, you know, and always think of it too. It's like, you're not always stuck. This is just now, you know, a lot of times in the future, you know, not everything with the kids get more independent, all this kind of stuff. You'll end up with more time, and then you can gradually add to your program, you know, as time goes on. So yeah, either way, get out there, you know, try to every day get your muscles burning, get your heart rate up, try to get stronger, and you will live a longer, better life. Until next time, this is Winston, and I want you to remember to work hard and play dirty.